Certain things potentially are black and white, but in general there are grey areas, aren't they? And I
even the conversation with utilitarianism breaks down into subjects and things like that. But the main point is, if you're going to convince me of something, you need to give me good reasons to accept that proposition. Now, if your conclusion is that this is something we should not do, and I'm asking you what are the reasons for that, and if it boils down to because suffering is evil. And it's like, well, how is it that suffering is evil, or that pleasure, increased amounts of pleasure is good?
How about if we continue? I'm not saying this is the only cause. There's a variety of causes, but it is a big contributing factor. How about if I said, if we continue with animal agriculture, we are going to create a planet that's unlivable? If we keep on burning down the Amazon rainforest, destroying our oceans, we are going to create an environment.
That's all fine, but that's not the same as the proposition that eating meat is wrong.
No, I know.
Comply! Resist! Defy! Do not comply!
I'm just but for me there's a variety of reasons. The environmental reason is different to the ethics, and the ethics is different to the health reason. They are all linked. But I'll just touch upon. I live like a vegan lifestyle for ethical reasons. I don't like the idea of killing something. And you referred to animals earlier as a him. Didn't you? When you acknowledging they are a sentient being with their own subjective view of reality, they can feel pain and experience.
And the process of slaughter for us is we recognise that in the process. And we are thankful Allah for giving us such things.
The thing is,
it's not like we don't disconnect ourselves from it. There's a relationship.
There's no chance. I do not think you're an evil person in the slightest.
It's fine if you do.
No. I don't probably, you are. But it's just that, we have options, don't we? We have a variety of choices. So if we can choose, why choose to cause more harm when we can choose to cause less harm? And so that's like the sort of angle I would go at. And if eating plants causes less harm compared to eating animals, I would say we should go for that option.
And so I guess my response to that, just to sort of summarise, would be that I don't think you can say that you have caused less harm, because if life, falling back very straight back to the beginning of the conversation, that if life is suffering, that allowing an animal to live is to allow it to suffer. And so essentially, by not eating the animal, technically you could be causing it to suffer even more, and which then undermines the reason for taking that as an argument to then not eat meat.
Well, I suppose the argument would be then, not to bring. You've got the animals that are currently in existence. What we do with them, I don't know. I don't know what the best solution is. But a simple solution would just be not to create new ones, because when we create those new ones, we're creating a situation where we are putting them in creating suffering when there was no need to create that suffering in the first place.
How do you stop the natural reproduction of
it wouldn't be a case of stopping natural reproduction, because that would occur, but it would be about, because at the moment we do a lot of artificial insemination, and so that increases the stock, but that's mainly tied to capitalism.
Just for instance, there's this really you saw Cowspiracy. I'd recommend. Have you heard or seen this film called Milked? It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. Milk. Couple years, 1 or 2 years.
Probably not then.
So it talks about the dairy industry in New Zealand, and basically, Britain actually, with colonialism, introduced dairy into that, and dairy is just decimating New Zealand. It's created all their natural waters are now undrinkable, they're unswimmable. They used to have these glowing, glorious lands, and dairy is just skyrocketed.
So I could even get behind understanding why there may be problems with the dairy industry, because the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he just used to have a goat or a cow, and it would just graze nearby, and then they would go and they would milk it. But it wasn't a case of where they would make it pregnant so that it would produce milk and all of that.
And then the child stolen, so they take away the child from the cow. There's videos you can see cows crying out, you can tell it's a distress sound, because the pitch of a cow's voice. There's variety. If you ever had a dog or a cat there's a variety. You know, some are happy sounds and some are sad sounds. You can just learn that by observation, and you can tell when a cow's given birth. A lot of the time, they'll just remove them because they don't want that calf taking the milk
yeah.
for us. And then you can hear the cow in distress. If they're a boy calf in the dairy industry, they're killed very early because they have no profitability. And if the female, they're basically kept in their closed environment until they're an age where they can be artificially inseminated. They go through this process for about 7 years, and then they're sent to the slaughterhouse for cheap meat. A lifespan for a cow is about 20-25 years, and they just have 7 years of almost pure misery. And for what? You know, cheese on pizza, sandwich fillings.
So I can get that maybe they don't like the experience of their calf being removed, but I wouldn't necessarily jump on this notion that they live constant suffering, because even like human beings, like I went through some crap when I was younger, and it caused me trauma, and I cried about it.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't say now.
Yeah.
That it's a big deal at all. Like I can get on a day-to-day basis just fine, and I don't see how a cow couldn't necessarily do that. Not to say that the milking industry is moral in it.
But I mean, you know, if you're killed at a fraction of your lifespan, I mean, you wouldn't say, would you? You know,
say again?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be killed at a fraction of your lifespan.
No, I wouldn't. No. But I don't see that as a necessary reason to infer onto cattle, because I don't consider cattle in the same moral sphere as the human being.
No, but you don't need to. All you need to know is, you know, recognise that they have a right to exist free from exploitation and suffering as anyone else.
So I can maybe say that from an Islamic perspective, within the bounds of the law. Obviously, when it comes to sort of slaughtering for food and that, it can be a different matter. But I don't see how you can say that as an atheist necessarily.
Well, I don't know. I just did though.
I know you just say it. But like, what's stopping me from just saying the opposite?
What do you
mean? So another atheist comes along and he just declares the complete opposite of your claim.
Yeah.
What do we do then?
Yeah.
Under the
I don't know.
You need to sort of give good reasons to explain what it is that justifies your particular moral propositions over his.
Well, I feel like we're just repeating, or I'm repeating myself now anyway, but yeah, my position's coming from an empathetic one, and trying to be compassionate one. I suppose that's where it's coming from. I don't need, personally, I suppose, I'm not saying you need it or anyone else, but I don't need a religion for me to be able to determine what I believe is good from bad, right from wrong. Yeah, some people do.
Because like where I grew up, like your level of compassion just isn't present.
No.
At all.
No.
Like I grew up in a council estate in North Manchester.
Yes.
And the majority of people have zero concern about any of these things.
Yeah. I know. Because they'd be dealt with bad hand. They're in an environment where it's like really rough. Like, you know, like you've got to do certain like horrible things probably to survive. And I hate that. I hate the fact that exists. And I would love to try and create and move towards a world where people aren't struggling like that.
So this is the thing then. This is where the need for religion or some sort of overriding thing which guides people comes in. And so you're suggesting that there should be something, but you just don't want it to be religion. But then it's still going to be falling under that category of being some sort of guidance for mankind.
You know, whatever, as long as it, you know, whatever position, belief, philosophical position that you have doesn't cause harm to others, I'm cool with. Once your position, you have a belief where you feel you need to do this and it will cause harm to someone else, then I think it needs to be questioned.
So if you got the Nazis, they're invading Europe, and the only way to deal with them is to fight them and to cause harm, that would, by what you just said there, be an evil thing.
Well, I think you're allowed to defend yourself. If someone's coming at you and is going to kill you, and you know...
So say my friend here goes to attack this brother here.
It looks like he's going to.
And he defends himself, that's fine. Let's say he's incapable of defending himself.
Yeah.
Right? And he's not attacking me, but then I attack him.
Yeah.
I'm being an aggressor here.
Well, you're defending your friend.
Well, I'm aggressively. He's not attacking me. I'm not defending myself, which is what you said.
I'm saying, well, you're.
So I can proactively attack on the basis that it could potentially save someone else, or. So then it's not about not being aggressive. aggression can be justified in some, even proactive aggression.
But how can you define who has the authority to define the harm? When you say the harm, so what is the basis of the definition? This is the harm and this is not harm. For example, a police, when someone is shooting, randomly shooting, killing the people, then he will recognize as terrorist. And when police is coming and maybe exchanging the fire, and this guy is gonna die, so it will not be, police will not be terrorists, right? So both is harming their life, but one is terrorist and another one is not. So who will define this harm you say? Who will define this?
Yeah, because it's another huge conversation, because the lines end up being somewhat arbitrary depending upon who's drawing them. And but yeah, I'm a bit tired now. So
I am a bit tired.
I don't want to open up another 10-hour conversation.
No,
it's been really nice. What's your name?
Tim.
Tim. I'm Yusuf.
Was it, sorry?
Yusuf.
Yusuf. Pleasure meeting. Nice one. Shake this guy's hand as well.
Now we're going to figure out who's...
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, there was, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for having that conversation.
Is this one yours?
Give me all. Yes, it's mine.
Yeah, you get to.
If you want to give me all, I will supply.
Are you here most Sundays?
Never. I'm from Manchester.
Are you? How are you finding your day?
Yeah, it's another one.
Another one.
Oh, they left the mic on you. The guy with the big camera. Oh, yeah, no, they're here.
Yeah, no, I'm from Manchester.